Welcome to Distress to Joyful, Bailey's Way. I'm your host, Bailey Raber, here to enlighten you and the rest of the world about one of the most misunderstood mental health disorders out there, bipolar disorder. In each episode, we'll learn more about my personal journey with bipolar 2 disorder, how I've struggled with it, and how I've learned to overcome those struggles. Together, we'll laugh, we'll cry, and most importantly, we'll have fun. You'll leave each episode feeling hopeful and stocked full of useful information on how you can better yourself and the world around you. Hello, friends. I am a little late on getting this week's episode out, but hey, that's life. School started last week. So I'm back to doing school things and I just got a lot more going on. And don't worry, I'm still going to be here for y'all. Please don't worry. I've got my shit together way better than last year. That's for sure. Last year's school was a shit show. I burned myself out real quick. I did not take care of myself the way I needed to. And this year I'm going in and I'm doing it different. I'm doing it better. I am learning from last year's mistakes. I am limiting how many extra projects I take on because we all know I try to do way too much. And I'm just being more mindful of all the things that I have going on and of myself. I'm working on giving myself more time to just decompress. That's something I haven't done very well my entire life, but I'm working on that more. And I really hope that my trip to India at the end of this year will help even more. So I don't know if I've mentioned this already or not, but I'm getting married in India. Oh my God. I just threw my hand up if you're on YouTube and I'm not even wearing my ring. My God. But I'm getting married in India at the end of this year, and we're going to be there for 6 whole weeks. 6 whole weeks. We've got our wedding first, and then we've got 2 weddings after our wedding, and we're going to Thailand in between. It's going to be really exciting. I'm so pumped. But I also am going to make sure that I take a lot of time to myself and just chill. I'm going to bring a couple books. If I run out of my books, like if I read them all, then I will buy more books. And I'm just going to focus on just relaxing and slowing down and taking it easy. I don't do that well. I fucking hate it. I do not do that well. So let's hope that this trip will help me do better at that. Oh, another announcement that I want to bring up, especially if you're on YouTube, I got my nose pierced. I'm showing you in the camera on YouTube. If you're not on YouTube, I will try to post a selfie sometime this week on the Instagram and the Facebook page so y'all can just see and whatnot. It fucking hurt. It hurts so bad. I did not expect it to hurt this bad. Granted, the last time I got a piercing was 10 years ago. Hang on just a sec. Yeah, last time I got a piercing was 10 years ago when I got my tragus pierced. And so, yeah, my tragus is a thin piece of cartilage, like the ear is a thin piece of cartilage. The nose is not a thin piece of cartilage. It is not. And thank God she just surprised me. She did a surprise attack by just like, okay, I'm going to clean off your nose. And then she just, whoop, she just did it. And y'all, I literally yelled, "This is not fun," while she was doing it. Apparently, she's never heard that before because she was dying laughing. So then I started laughing while I got this needle stuck in my nose. So then it's like, vibrating because I'm laughing and then it's hurting. And this is just not fun. But it's over, it's done with, and it hasn't hurt since. It literally hasn't. I've got a high pain tolerance, the redhead in me. It's kind of hard, the lighting's shit in here. But the redhead in me has a really high pain tolerance. And so once it was over, it was over. I'm cool. I'm chill. It's been almost a week. It'll be a week on Wednesday. I'm getting used to it. I haven't snagged it on anything yet. Let me knock on some wood just to make sure. But yeah, so that's something that's new and fun and exciting. And when I go to India, I'm going to get to wear an actual nose ring as part of my ceremony instead of a clip-on. So I'm excited about that too. It was an excuse to get this done. And yeah, that's my news. So let's go ahead and move into today's episode. This is why I'm so brave. And guys, this is completely an episode from the heart. Like, I literally don't have anything written in episode. I have my episode notes, boom, right here. Actually, you can see where it says episode, it just has one line because it says speak from the heart. Because that's what we're doing today. That was always the plan. It's not just because I'm running late. I'm serious. It's not. That was always the plan. But let's go ahead and dive into this topic because recently is when I actually realized that like I'm really, really brave. Like, I think I've known this for a while that I'm pretty fucking brave, but it was brought to my attention by somebody to where I stopped and thought about it. And I was like, wait a second, he's right. And the person I'm talking about is Monish's cousin's husband. So I don't know what relation that is to me now that I'm Monish's fiance. No idea. But Darmish. So Darmish, we went out for his birthday back in, was that April or May? I feel like it was April. And we were hanging out talking, and we were talking about India because I went to India on a solo trip back in December of last year. And he literally looked at me and he goes, "You are brave." I don't think he said you got some balls, but it would be accurate if he said that. And he goes, "I would not fly halfway across the world to, first of all, by myself, but second of all, to go stay with my in-laws." And I thought about that. And I was like, well, yeah, I guess that was kind of brave of me, huh? Like, I literally met Monish's parents in person once before. And that was March of last year when we went over to India for 2.5 weeks. That was my first time meeting his parents. So the second time I met his parents was when I hopped on a plane in December of the same year, just 9 months, no, not even 9 months later. Well, yeah, 9 months later. And I hopped on a plane and went and stayed with them for almost 2 weeks. It was a little over a week and a half by myself. I navigated myself through the Dubai airport. I made it to Mumbai. I got myself through all of that. I will say, because I'd been there before with Monish, it wasn't scary at all. I knew what I was doing. I knew where I was going. I knew what to look for. I knew what to avoid. I knew not to let people cut in front of me in line. I knew all the things, right? But I thought about it. I was like, you know what though? He's right. Like, how many people would do that? How many people would hop on a plane and go literally 8,000 miles away from their home by themselves to go stay with people they've met once before in their life? We talk all the time. We literally talk on the phone to Monish's parents every single Sunday, but I'd only met them in person one time. So that it does make a little bit of a difference, a little bit, but I trusted them fully, obviously. But if you step back and look at it, that sounds a little crazy. And then I got to thinking, well, what else have I done in my life that's considered wild and brave or adventurous or quote unquote crazy? What else have I done? Because I've done a lot of things, y'all. I have lived a life and I'm not even 30 yet. I will be at the end of this year, but not quite yet. And that reminded me of a time when I sat down with my Nana. Guys, when I moved to Houston in 2019, my God. When I moved to Houston here in 2014, so it's almost a decade ago, I moved up here by myself. I had no friends. I didn't know where I was going to work. I literally signed a lease on an apartment before I got a job here, which sounds batshit fucking crazy because it is. It really is. If you think about it, it sounds crazy because it is. But I did it and everything worked out. And I made so many friends when I moved here. And I had a great group when I first moved here, and it's evolved. And I have even better friends now, people I can count on and trust, that I love dearly, that I will always remain friends with. But I took that risk, right? I took a risk to move here. And not long after I moved up here, I went down to my Nana's house down near my hometown, about an hour away. And I remember sitting at the table with her, like she always did. She had her little chair at the table, her spot. She always sat there. And we were sitting there, and she looked at me and she goes, she's like, "Baby, I wish I would have been as brave as you are. And I wish I would have done brave things like you're doing. And back then, I didn't think much of it. I'm like, I'm just out here living my life. Like, I'm just doing what I want to do and I'm trying new things. But again, in hindsight, when you look back, y'all, I moved to a new city, a large city, the fourth largest city in the United States by myself into a one-bedroom apartment with no friends and no job. I got a job right after I signed the lease. So calm down. It all worked out in the end. Like I said, everything has worked out amazing. But when you look at the reality of it, it's like, dude, what were you thinking? Like, that was wild. So here's the thing, when you sit back and you say, okay, so what creates a brave person, right? Like, how do we build this braveness in ourselves? And I was 20 years old when I did that, you guys. I was 20. 20. I moved out of my parents' house when I was 18. Nobody was doing that. I had my own one bedroom apartment and I didn't know anybody my age or not many people older than me even who were doing the same thing. Like nobody was doing that. That was very brave of me to do that too, to take on my own finances and become responsible for my life like that. So why? What turned me into this brave person that I am today? So when you look at the core of things, I've talked about this before in other podcast episodes. So if you're new to the show, hello, welcome. Please go back and listen to old episodes, and this braveness will make more sense. But I've talked about how I was miserable as a kid. I was miserable. And the sad thing is that I have friends now still who I was friends with when I was in middle school, who I was friends with in high school. They all saw it. They all saw it because they can see now how happy I am. And I've been told by so many different people that you were miserable growing up. Like, I'm so glad that you have found joy and happiness in your life, which is sad. It's really sad. But guys, that misery, that is what truly bred me to be the brave woman I am today. Because think about this, when you don't have a lot, it's a lot easier to take risks. So again, growing up, I was so restricted from everything. I got in trouble all the time for the dumbest shit. I was always getting grounded, always. Yelling and screaming and crying was a constant in my household. I cannot remember a single holiday where someone did not end up in trouble, crying, in their room, spanked, grounded, something bad happened. Every fucking time it was supposed to be good times. Every time. So if the good times aren't good, then think about how bad the bad times were. Just take a ponder of that yourself, because we're not going to dive into that, but just think about that. So I grew up in a middle class family. My dad's blue collar. My mom, she never graduated high school. She got her GED, but it was a blue collar family. And so we didn't have extra money for things. We didn't have extra things like the kids at school had. I didn't wear name brand clothing unless I chose to blow my school money on, 3 pairs of Abercrombie jeans. Like we weren't living in excess. I didn't get all the things. I did have a lot. Don't get me wrong. I had a lot. But I also grew up in a hometown where there were a ton of rich kids who had so much more. And I felt very limited by so many different means. I felt limited by things I was allowed to do, people I was allowed to hang out with, places that I was allowed to go. I felt limited all the time, and I always lived in fear. I was always scared I was going to get in trouble. Until high school, guys. When high school came around, I had lived my entire childhood in fear of getting in trouble. But you know what? By that point, I realized it didn't matter how good I was, or how hard I tried, or how many fucking things I achieved. Go listen to This Is Why I'm an Overachiever if you haven't yet, and you'll pick up on all of that. But it didn't matter how much of that I did, I was still always getting in trouble. I was still always getting beat down on mentally. I was still always not good enough. No matter what the fuck I did, I was never good enough for my parents. So then one day I decided, fuck it. Fuck it. I am so tired of working so hard and not getting the recognition I needed. I am so tired of putting all this effort and all of this hard work into things and nobody caring. Or they look at it and they say, well, how come you didn't do this? That's great, but it's not perfect. You need to do more. That was always the responses I was getting. So when I said, fuck it, that is when I started taking risks. And let me just tell you how risky I was because it was real fucking risky, y'all. Looking back. And guys, this is what built me into who I am today. I started doing things I wasn't supposed to do. I started sneaking out of the house. I started lying and saying I was at a friend's house having a sleepover, but instead I was the next town over getting shit faced and stoned with some friends my parents have never heard of or met before. I was having sex with boys. I was doing all the things I wasn't supposed to do. All of the things. I was sneaking out my window, guys. I was sneaking out of my house and getting picked up by boys and going to parties or going and having sex and doing whatever, knowing, knowing full well that if I got caught, I was going to be fucked. It was going to be so bad if I got caught. But you know what? It was already bad. Things were already bad. So you know what? If things are already bad, why don't I just risk it and have some fun while I can? Right? That was literally my mindset. And if you're listening right now and you're a parent, especially a parent of a, young child or a teenager, please learn from my parents' mistakes. Because the more you take away and the more you restrict your kids, the more they're going to want to get out and do shit they're not supposed to do. I became the rebel child because of that. And that's why I went out and started risking it all. I said, you know what? It already sucks. I'm already grounded. I'm already whatever. So let's just roll and just, toss all the chips in. Fuck it. And I got lucky for a long time, guys. Let me just say, I never once got caught sneaking out. Never once. I'm so proud of that. I don't know. That's a good thing to be proud of, but I never got caught sneaking out. I did get caught in a lie saying I was at a friend's house when I wasn't because my parents put a tracker on my phone without telling me and they were tracking my location. So they figured that out. But I only got grounded for a week for that. I was already 18. I was about to graduate high school. What more can you do? They tried though. Y'all, I graduated high school and I still had a 10 p.m. curfew. As an 18-year-old who's graduated high school, that's why I moved out. That's why I moved out. Like, I was like, how is this? I'm an adult. I don't go to school anymore. What? So yeah, I started taking these big risks. I did run away from home twice, 3 times, twice for sure that I got in big trouble for. One of it being that the sheriff came and picked my ass up, and that was fucking horrific. That ended me in therapy. That's how I got into therapy, was that right there. But y'all, I started taking these risks because what happens when you start doing something that's scary, like taking risks or trying to be self-confident or learning a new language or putting yourself out there and dating? It's hard and it's scary and it fucking sucks at first. Your heart is pounding. You probably have anxiety. You're all worked up. You might be sweating. I am. But the more you do these things, the easier they get. The easier they get. So I'm not saying that you need to start sneaking out of your parents' house and doing any of that bad shit I did. Don't do bad girl shit. Don't do bad girl shit. That is not at all what I'm promoting. The point being is that the reason why I'm a brave woman and I'm sitting here and I'm telling you guys vulnerable stories on the internet where anybody can find this. That's why I have been able to travel across the world by myself. That's why I moved to a new city with no friends, no job, and I figured it out and ended up having the a better life than I could have ever imagined. Guys, if you don't take the risk, you can't get the reward. My risk taking started because I hated my life and I wanted a reward. I wanted something better. So if you're in a shitty place right now, figure out what it is you want. Do you want to be more self confident? Do you want to be more adventurous? Do you want to experience more of life? Do you want to find your life partner? What do you want? Figure out what that is and make that your reward and work towards it and just try. Take those baby steps, take those risks because you can't become brave without taking risks. That's part of it. That's how you build up that brave muscle. I'm going to call it a brave muscle. I don't know what it is. Brene Brown is probably sitting here shaking her head. She's not listening to this podcast. I wish. I wish she was. But if she was listening to this podcast, she's probably like, what the hell is a brave muscle? But seriously, you have to do that. You have to start somewhere and you got to just do it. Don't say, I'll do it later. Do it now. Do it today. Do it as soon as you can. And do it consistently. Keep trying. Keep putting yourself out there. Keep trying to learn that new language that you can't roll your R's in. There's no R rolling in Hindi. Thank God. Keep going on dates until you find the right person. Do what it is you need to do and do it again and again and again. It's like riding a bike, you guys, or anything in life. It's going to suck. It's going to be hard. You're going to have, what does she call it? Brene Brown calls it, oh my God, she has some shitty first time. I don't know, something like that, where basically you're going to suck when you first try something, but it gets easier and it gets better. And if you want to consider yourself, if you want to feel brave, no, let's back up. If you want to feel brave, you got to start putting yourself in situations where you're taking risks because that gets less scary and less scary each time you do it. I mean, another example for me of being brave is food. That sounds weird, I know. I was such a picky eater growing up. I ate mac and cheese, chicken nuggets, grilled cheese, and that was like it. That was my diet my whole life until I was like 25. Yeah, basically until I was 25, until I decided, you know what? I want to lose weight, and losing weight means I can't eat mac and cheese and chicken nuggets and pizza all the time. I need to eat healthy food, and healthy food sucks. I don't like healthy food back then. This is 2019 me talking. 2019 me did not like broccoli. She did not like eating salads very often. She did not like exploring new foods, new textures, none of that. 2023 Bailey has been a vegetarian for 2.5 years now. If my Nana was alive, she would be rolling, like she would just be on the floor having a heart attack from like what is going on. She would be freaking out. Because never in a million years did I ever expect myself to be a vegetarian. I ate meat like crazy, y'all. I ate meat like crazy, all except beef. I've never liked that. Long story. We won't go there. But the point being is if I wouldn't have taken a risk, if I wouldn't have tried something new, then I wouldn't be here where I am today, loving my vegetarian lifestyle. I have built these brave muscles. I take risks all the time. I talk to strangers like it's nobody's business. It usually is nobody's business. And I'm butting in and talking to strangers. And that's how you make friends. That's why I have so many amazing friends because I put myself out there and I was brave and I risked being awkward and I risked being weird. And you know what? These people love me and I love them too. So all of this is to say that if you don't feel like you're very brave, or if you feel like, hey, I want to be more brave, then like I said, sit there and I want you to figure out what it is that you really want in life. What is something right now that you just really want? And figure out what you need to do to get to it. Start taking those baby steps one by one and you'll get there. Okay, let's jump into win of the week. So, this segment is designed as a way to have positivity at the end of every episode. This was a pretty positive episode itself, but they're not always that way. And so this is meant for you guys also to write in and share your wins. So if you've had a recent life event, like you've gotten the job offer for your dream job, or you showered for the first time in 3 days, no win is too small to share here on the podcast. And I am just dying for you guys to write in. So I've got DMs on Instagram. I've got a segment on my website. Please send yours in so I can give you a shout out, or you can be anonymous, whatever you prefer. But in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and I'm one person. I'm going to give you my win for this week because it's a really good one. And my win is that I had the most amazing weekend that I've had in a very, very, very long time. Very long time. I got to see a bunch of friends on Friday. We had a dinner, it was 8 of us, and it was just so filling. Like my heart is just so full from that. And then Saturday, my fiance and I had 4 friends come over who are going to India with us for our wedding. And I literally spent 3 hours. I'm not joking, guys, 3 entire hours going over a presentation about what to expect when traveling to India for the first time and what to expect with our wedding, what to wear, what not to wear, all the fun stuff. I had a 43-page slideshow that I made. Yeah. Some of y'all are not at all surprised to hear that. Some of you guys are like, what is happening? This was not even a school assignment or a work assignment. This was all done for free. But it was really, really fun getting to just, talk about India and my experiences and what I've learned as a foreigner traveling to India. Because Monish is from there. So he was able to back me up and give more examples, but he doesn't see India the way I see India. And my friends are going to see India the way I saw India. So it was really cool to get to share all of that and just have everybody so engaged and asking really great questions. Like Derek, thank you, Derek. You asked amazing questions. And Bethany taking notes, which was so cool. Thank you again for that. It just felt so great. Like, wow. I just feel like I put all this work in for you guys and y'all care and this matters. And it just felt good. So what's really cool is I actually recorded the entire thing on video because I have friends who live in Norway who are going to meet us in India. So Isa and her boyfriend Mats, I'm so excited. I haven't seen her in, oh my God, it'll be like 4.5 years by the time I actually see her in India. So I recorded everything on video because I knew that there would be questions asked and there would be commentary added outside of the PowerPoint. And so lucky for you, that's going to be on my YouTube. So if you want to learn more about India or you're just curious about what the hell this slideshow contains, being 43 whole pages, give me about a week and head on over to my YouTube, What is Hey Bales Doing? And you will get to see all of it. You'll get to watch the whole thing if you want. I also wrote an article, so I'll put that in the show notes. I'll put both of them in the show notes if you want, so y'all can check it out. But yeah, that is my win. So if you have a recent win that you'd like to share, head on over to whatisheybales.doing.com. That's what is HEYBAILS doing.com/win of the week. You can send in an anonymous submission that way. You can also enter your name, or you can just DM me directly at distress2joyful_Bailey's Way on Instagram and Facebook. Okay, that said, thank you for tuning into the show. If you enjoy this podcast, help spread the word by leaving a rating or writing a review, especially if you're on Apple Podcast or Audible. I would really, really appreciate it. And be sure to check out the show notes so that you can find any of the links that I mentioned. And if you're not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, dude, bite the bullet and just do it. I have way more than the podcast on my YouTube. I've got travel things. I've got DIYs. I've got this thing about India. I'm working on a fashion segment that is hopefully going to be up within the next couple of months. So Lots of really fun, cool, good things coming on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe. And lastly, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you can stay up to date with all of the new episode releases. But until next time, take it easy, stay grateful, and be joyful. Bye.